Hey guys, what's going on? Hope y'all doing okay. It's awful cold on us. It's about 26 degrees, I think. Wind chill is about 20, 15, something like that. It's cold, cold, cold. So it's not gonna be long, but we're gonna burn one fire here, a good fire. Hopefully that'll warm us up and get us going. But y'all can see it's cold. But remember, allegedly, these are my opinions, guys. My free speech, my theories, my speculations of what I think happened in this case. We're putting out a little bit of facts, a little bit of, our theories, my theories, what I think, could have possibly happened. And a lot of it matches with what a lot of people think, It's nothing new. It's not rocket science in this case, but y'all's comments, y'all's and y'all's alone, not to reflect the channel. We do our research together because we are a big-hearted little family. We are a little family, but we got big hearts. And so that's always a wonderful thing. Sorry, I'm back at work, so it's hard now to do these. I'm doing my best. I know I haven't got back to a lot of y'all today. I was swamped. I haven't been in that long, but I wanted to make sure. I said, no matter what, as long as it's not raining, I'm doing it. Because we poured down all out last night. I couldn't do it. So I was like, I got a little bit of dry wood. I'm going to make a fire, and we're going to talk a little bit. Because there's some stuff coming out now with Seth Rogers talking on the Lower Lodge. And the one that I went back and was watching from right after his birthday, Sebastian's birthday. But let's get into it, guys, because, Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers is a missing 15-year-old out of Hendersonville, Tennessee, that turned 16 on December 7th, 2024. He went missing, like I said, February 25th, 2024. I like to say that a couple times because they've changed the date, and I think that's a good thing. Some people think it's not, but I think it is. They don't change it unless something made it change. Think about it. They're not just going to change a date. It doesn't work that way. They got something back that led them to believe that this child has not been seen since the 25th, which means midnight, Tinkerbell video, doesn't matter. He's not been seen since the 25th. So that camera, whatever we thought might be holding some answers, is probably exactly what Eric Craddock told Nick Barris in the very beginning it was. It might be later on, but it's not now. We know it's not a trash truck. We know it's a vehicle. There's a lot of things we know. I still think that somehow it does have and play a role in this. Like he said, I think it'll play a role down the road maybe. I think it's playing a role because it was a decoy. I think they did this on purpose. I think they tried to make it look like this kid left. But I think they were failed by their scent trail. Because evidently whatever they tried to do to leave his scent outside didn't work because there was 0 scent of the child. But anyway, before we get too far, he has autism. He's a special kid. He's happy-go-lucky, always smiling. He's getting lost in all these lies and messes. And, not to us. Me and Ruby Girl are doing our best to search whenever we can get up there. It costs a lot of money to go there. And I never ask for money, right? I don't raise money. I don't do any of that. I do it out of the kindness of my heart because I want to do it. That's why I work my butt off, is to help in these cases with my own money. And for people that think YouTube's big money, it's not big money, guys. I finally got a thing from them saying, I got my first check coming, and it's like $32 for a whole month. So don't tell me you're making money on YouTube, because you're not unless you're huge. Now, you got 300,000 or 400,000, yeah. You got, a couple thousand members at $4 a pop, $3 a pop, whatever, yeah, you can make a little bit. You're still not going to make a living. People are doing this. I don't think they're doing it for a living unless you're huge, right? That's why we never started these channels. It's a lot of work for a little pay. And it's not about that to me. It's about spreading awareness. When I realized that I could spread awareness on all the cases I wanted to cover, like cold cases, like all that, which we're going to get back into, because I do miss talking about that. And because it's like what I've done for a lot of these almost 9 years, right at 9 years. And I haven't had my channel long, but I do this because I want to do it, and something has drawn me to do it. Ruby loves to search. We love to search. I wish I could do it every day. I'm not at that point yet to where I can. But once I retire, yeah, sure, I might be able to try to do it every day. I don't know yet what's coming, but I know right now I got to work to pay bills, just like everybody else in the world, right? But the thing about the Sebastian case to me is they're saying he was last seen pretty much at the Roadhouse. And from that, they're not saying anything because we thought he was seen on the 26th, which now we know he wasn't. That changes a lot to a lot of people. Some for the good, some for the bad. I think for the good. I think they found something somewhere that led them to believe, okay, our thought of what we think and evidence is pointing at, it probably did happen. So, if it would have been an abduction, we'd have a car because we know a car was seen. The reason that car was never put out is I feel is because it wasn't relevant. Or it is and they can't put it out yet because they have to wait until the arrests are made, right? Sometimes you have to hold on to evidence until you can find more. They did treat this as a missing case for a while, but not long. And we have to remember that. Sebastian Wade Jake Rogers spent his weekend, the 22nd of February, he spoke to Seth Rogers, his bio father, on the phone for a little bit. Then we know now what's come out is that on the 25th, which is the only day Katie really talks about, because that's what really makes us to know now that the reason she's only talked about that date is because that was the last day. And, 22nd he talked to Seth. Seth has not talked to his son since the 22nd of February, 2024. On the 24th, they went to Costco's and they ate at Costco's and they came back. And then on the 25th, which is Sunday, they got up. She made him breakfast, spaghetti pancakes. Google it, y'all. He was able to call some family members and brag about the spaghetti pancakes. Now we know if what we're being told is correct, that she was utilizing her mother, which is not supposed to be around children. She would call her grandmother, since they lived in the same house in Virginia, and then her grandmother would take the phone to Katie's mother so she could talk FaceTime to Sebastian so he could brag to her. Okay, now we know that she was breaking the law right there, right? Off the bat, breaking the law. And I'm sure their phone data proves that. I'm sure it shows that she was calling grandma, which they know, I'm sure now that they live in the same household pretty much, or on the same lot, and that it could possibly be done. So, I'm sure that's playing a role in some of this stuff that they're investigating. Did she hide this child? I don't know. Why would he speaking to her that day? Evidently, he had been speaking to her before. Seth had called the police one time for a welfare check because Sebastian had told him that Grandma Frances and the other grandma were there when they're not supposed to be around him at all. So a lot of stuff is coming out now that wasn't out before, if all this is 100%. You got to remember, we're hearing one side of it, so we have to take it as one side of it. I'm not trying to say that he's not telling the truth. I never said that. I'm saying that we still have to look at it as both ways, right? Like they haven't defended themselves on that yet, and they haven't tried to debunk anything pretty much that he said. So I feel that it is probably most likely correct, right? Or we wouldn't talk about it. So with that being said, little Sebastian went to the Roadhouse after going to Strike and Spare, BJ's, 2 aunts and a cousin that day, spent the day together. Some people say he's overstimulated. Some people, I don't know exactly. I don't know a lot about autism, and it's possible, I'm sure, that he was overstimulated. But, that's, this young man has a big little heart, right? He was such a good kid. And what they did to him at that Proudfoot household is not what you do to a child, especially not with autism. The CPS reports for the belt incidents, the Katie not defending him at all over Chris, letting Chris do what he wants to her son and not defending him, knowing he has autism, knowing he has special needs, knowing he was probably asking mommy for help and she was siding with Chris. I don't know what the little boy felt like in his head, but I'm sure it wasn't very good. But we know now, we know that she never begged. We know that she never really was an emotional wreck like most mothers would be. She never asked for a kidnapper to release him. If she felt he walked out of that door on his own, then how does she know he walked out of that door on his own? Just like I say, how does she know it's between midnight and 6 a.m.? How do all these things they're pushing, do we know that's, we don't know now because he's not seen on the 26th. So we don't know now exactly what happened. Now we go back to our original thoughts of he was most likely carried out of that home, right? That's what it leads to, because there's no dog scent. There was no dog scent. The dogs didn't pick up a trail at the trash can. They didn't pick up a trail anywhere outside that home. And that came from law enforcement themselves, and I don't feel that they're going to lie about it. So we have to go with that. I know the opposite. The Proudfoots are pushing that the dogs did follow his trail, although there's no proof of this. They're still pushing that, just like they're trying to push other narratives that did not happen, right? And we'll get into more of that later. But, Sebastian, to me, I've always felt needed special care, special love, extra special love, because he's a special child. When children are born this way, I got to remember my faith is strong, right? And so I feel that they're extra special. That's just how I feel. And I feel that they need a little more attention, a little more time, a little more care, a little more guidance to help them make the right decisions sometimes. And so I don't see any of that happening here. I see he was getting disciplined for every time he wasn't acting right. So like, they weren't looking at his special needs side of him. They were trying to treat him like a regular human, and they were trying their own way of discipline, wearing diapers. You got to remember, Katie had to approve all of this. She had to allow Chris to take all his underwear and give it to Seth, and allow him to wear diapers every day, to school and everywhere, to bed, to everywhere. Can you imagine that 15-year-old having to deal with that? That had to hurt him bad. And his self-worth, his pride, his everything, it had to hurt him, right? It did. I'm going to get a little closer to this fire, guys. Sorry. And I feel, his favorite color was green. He loved games. He loved gaming. He loved all these things that kids his age should love. And he seemed like he was a pretty smart kid, right? He could play chess. We know that now. Y'all see how hard that wind blowing that fire is not going to last long. But, he just was such a happy-go-lucky kid. Like, every time I see a photo of this young man, I look at it as, oh my gosh, this kid was always so happy, right? So happy. I hope it don't blow my camera over here. That wind is bad. I didn't realize it was going to be this bad, but sorry, guys. But, we know that there's so many things that he did well, and then there's so many things that he struggled at, but evidently he wasn't getting the help that he needed. And we've learned a lot now about a lot of things in this case, I think, that I don't know why they've waited this long to come out, but I know they're starting to come out. And I think this is the holding on to hope part, right? He's slowly letting things out to keep people connected to wanting Sebastian found, right? Seth is doing a wonderful job at keeping us involved. I want to say that. He is doing a wonderful job at that. Shout out to him for that. He is the one parent out of all of them that is trying to keep his name and face out there. Not saying that he has to search every day. I'm not saying that. He's doing his part in every way that he can possibly do it. And so to me, that's what it's about when you have a child missing. And, we can look back at Monkey Vaughn's parents and all these other parents, right? And then we look back at the Prophets and the Wells, and we see different. We see different. We see parents that realize and talk in a way that they're not here anymore. And that hurts. And that's what gives us the motivation. That's what gives me the motivation, is to prove them wrong. To prove them that they are basically not telling the truth. To prove them that they hold responsibility for what most likely happened to this young man. Because in some way, somehow, they both should be held accountable for the things that happened in this young man's life leading up to the event of February 25th. Everything they did and the choices they made for this young man and the things they did to this young man are what made him who he was. And if he was for some reason to have walked out of that door or been put out of that door, that's their fault. You have locks on your home. You have a special needs child that's under 18. He is your care 100%. And you know that, especially being military. So to me, there's a lot of ways they can get them, and they will get them. I do feel that. I think that justice will come in this case. I pray that Sebastian's found, but they might be quiet like they are right now. If they are arrested, they're going to be quiet. Y'all know that. So it's up to us to keep pushing and keep searching, no matter if it's cold or hot or we have thorns or sticker burrs or we have to crawl through the brush like we did. It doesn't matter. We still have to try. And I it's not for everyone. I get it. But even spreading his face, sharing a video, sharing his face, talking about him, saying his name, writing a note, anything you can do is helping. So for the ones that can't get out there and search that want to, pull up Google Maps, study some areas, send it to your favorite creators. Hey, if you're going to be out searching, or send them to me, if you're going to be out searching, will you mind looking at this area? And you know what? I'll film it and I'll look at the area. And I'll let you know that I looked at your area. It's all about teamwork. The more we can start working as a team, the better. That's why I'm trying to build these searches now, like for Summer Wells this summer for Sebastian. I'm working on putting 50 people together. And I think that'll make more of a dent than 2 people or 1 person and a dog. Not saying that we can't cover a lot of ground, we can, but with more people, you cover more area. And you can be more precise. You can say, okay, this 5-foot line all the way to that end is yours. Anything in this 5-foot line, you cover it. Or anything in this 10-foot line, you cover it. 10 foot wide, 15 foot wide, 20 foot wide. That's your responsibility to check off this area. And everybody can do their part and walk enough where we can communicate and cover enough area. Take some sticks with us, shovels, whatever we need, I'll bring it. And we can, do what we can. And that sometimes finds answers, right? Just like these remains that were found that we still don't have an answer for. Somebody had to find those. Somebody had to be looking. Or somebody was out doing something when they found them. And if they found them by accident, then that's even better. It goes to show you that you never know when you're going to stumble upon something. You can walk 5 foot off the roadway and find something, right? That's usually it's really close to the roadways. If somebody dumps someone out, it's usually really close to the roadway. Trigger warning times 100 million, guys. Sorry, I forgot. But, back to Sebastian is this young man was all smiles. No matter what was going on in his life, somehow he managed to always have a smile on his face. At least from the photos we see. And that's amazing to think that this little 15-year-old angel had such a strong little heart that no matter what they did to him, he was still going to be happy-go-lucky and smiles regardless. And that's tough because a lot of kids go into depression, they go into different states. He seemed to be smiling all the time, which is great. But the one thing that's getting me, though, is now learning about Katie Lynn Payne's mother. The conviction, she's like, 99 years or something of probate. I don't know. She can't be around children. To know now that she had to have that Katie had a welfare check called on her by Seth because Sebastian Rogers told his father that they were both there and they weren't supposed to be there. Good for you. That's what you should do as a parent. See, that's why I know they kept him in the dark, because he would stand up and he would speak up and he's not scared to do it. And that's what's good about it. And he's the fighting parent in this child's life. The one fighting parent is him. The other ones don't fight. They don't speak unless it's negative or trying to clear their name. That's the only time they speak, is to clear their name or to be negative. That's it. And, waiting so long to talk. All these things now are adding up to one picture. Is that, in my opinion, they are 100% responsible. I feel that way. But now, just a few more of these that I've listened to, right? Out of the 7 things that I've been able to view, which I know there are way more than that, but out of just the 7 that I've listened to so far, I'm already at like 111 red flags, and that's bad. Put it this way, in Leilani's trial, in case, I only had like 38 red flags. And I'm triple that I'm already in the Sebastian Rogers case, and just 7 times that they've spoken out. That's tough. And we have to look back at what transpired that weekend. I'm not worried about Sunday. It's the weekend itself, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Why is she putting out these things to the press or to whoever put this out for her? That said that she explained to them that, he talked to his father on the 22nd On the 24th, they went to Costco's to eat dinner, her and Sebastian. And on Sunday, they had the spaghetti pancakes for breakfast. He had to brag to his grandma that he shouldn't have been talking to on FaceTime whatsoever at all, but Katie allowed. That's another red flag, right? The spaghetti pancakes, talking about the big elaborate breakfast, that's another red flag. That's how we see it. And the two aunts and the one cousin, and not using names, just saying two aunts and a cousin. Speak about the people. The neighbors of what they have said, and then now knowing that they didn't really know a lot of their neighbors, and that came out of Mr. Prophet's mouth. So we know now that that is true. That what the neighbors are telling me is true. Because I do have two of them that I speak to regularly. So I'm learning a lot. I'm learning that this child was really out of that house probably at least 3 times wandering around in the past before while Katie was at work. Because people have seen him out there. And she never once ran around in panic looking for him then. So that's what made one of these people tell me about it. You know, she didn't panic before, she was mad or upset about it. And she didn't drive around looking for him, she went walking looking for him. And this is what I'm being told, remember that. And so if this is what she's doing, then why that morning? Panic in 3 minutes. Call Christopher, not call 911 like 99.99999% of all of the mothers, excluding you, would have done. Right? How do you do that? You know, man, we got a fire tonight, don't we, guys? But, you know, it's just some of these things that really throw red flags to me. And then hearing Seth talk about some of these debunking things that they were trying to do on the Lore Lodge, shout out to them. And like, how do you box up a 15-year-old's underwear and tell him he has to wear diapers? How do you do that? You know, how do you have a light bulb missing on a garage that's going to show him taking out the trash? Like, if you notice, everything that could have been a possible clue for the law enforcement didn't happen. They avoided those things happening. And they avoided a lot of things happening, just like they avoided talking in the first week. You see that? You see what I'm getting? Everything was avoided. And then, did they lead them down a rabbit hole? You know, we talk about what a rabbit hole is, but was their plan to lead law enforcement down a rabbit hole? Did they weigh the trash can down on purpose? Did they make it heavier on purpose knowing they'd probably check it? Did they set up the Tinkerbell video and it'd be somebody that nobody would really know and they just randomly had them come out there and then nothing happened? She just ran out there and acted like and ran back. So that way she could save the flashlight. Seth did say that his slip-on shoes were in his room and that the other 3 pair of the boots that he had bought him, the older pair of tennis shoes and the newer pair of tennis shoes Katie had bought him, were all there. They're all accounted for. So he did confirm her story that the shoes were all there. Okay, that's where her mistake was. Her mistake was the shoes. I've always said that. That's what it's going to come down to. Mark my word. It's going to come down to the shoes. And I know that was the first red flag to that officer that first got there, was the shoes. That probably made them say, okay, landfill, we got to do all these things. We got to put these ducks in a row now. Something's not adding up. Kind of like Stephen Stearns, right? Remember, they knew from the start something wasn't right. Now, they're not going to show them that. They didn't show Stephen Stearns that either, right? He thought everything was cool because they played it off cool. And they said, oh, yeah, they're cooperating. No, they do that on purpose to build you up so you feel faith in them that they're not going to come after you. And then when you least expect it, they tag you, right? And that's how it should be, because some of these things that were brought up, I think I wrote it on this little blue one because I was at work and hold on, let me see. Yeah, his slides are in his room, his shoes are in his room. Yeah, call the cops on Katie for the grandma. Let's see. Yeah, talk about the ones that in Virginia. Okay, yeah. And then, you know, another one here was, I wanted to go over this little bitty quick list that I made today off of just that one thing that I watched 20 minutes of. I haven't watched the whole thing yet. I've only watched a little bit of it. Where Deceptive Detective broke down, you know, their podcast thing they went on, or that channel they went on. Case will be studied for years. Right? Remember that CP's words? Case will be studied for years. You know, that is a powerful way to say something. Also, like he told Seth in the beginning, what are you going to do if it goes sideways or south or however he said it? That's strike two, right? Then he talked about how they've never gone on a vacation since Sebastian's been missing, but y'all go everywhere. So how do we know it's not? You went to Yogi Bear and you don't have to go back to work yet. So I would consider that a vacation. The pictures. Remember how he talked about the pictures? Everybody handles their memories different. When they were asked a question about why did you post such old pictures of him in the beginning? Because the memories that they have. But he did slip up and say that the photo from that night that she took at the roadhouse, law enforcement did have. So, I think that was part of her alibi. She was trying to create it as she went. That's why she was so nervous in there looking around. I think that was her way of showing an alibi. Hey, he was fine at 6:25, right? And then I think Katie had said it was about the ranch dressing. Well, then look at what Christopher said. He said it was about him cleaning his plate. So which one is? They're both telling lies. Which one is it, guys? Y'all can't tell the truth to save yourself. But back to the pictures, because, he did say that these are our memories. We cherish our memories and talk so much about memories of photos. What is that telling us? That this is all they got left of him. So they're not going to share what they have left of him. All they have left of him are these photos. And they know that. So that's why they're cherishing them. That's how I see it, right? That's how I think any profiler would see it. And then he said he was never put out of the house by CPS, right? But then we hear Seth say that the CPS reports were to the Proudfoot home. So in Katie's name, right? Okay, now, here we go. She's the bio mom. Makes sense now. It tagged both of them. That's why she was helping him battle with that other case and writing in the thing. I think she was trying to persuade Sebastian to not testify for Faith. I think that's what she was doing. And I don't think he would listen because he loved Faith and he wanted to help Faith. He knew Faith was scared of Chris because why? Because Sebastian was scared of Chris. So who better than to help you than the person that he's beating on? You get it? So Sebastian was going to be her Superman. He was going to be her hero. He was going to help her to not have to come around that monster, and that's why he was doing it. That's why I say Sebastian's smarter than we give him credit for. Because you know what? You hear this a lot in cases where there's divorce and there's step-parents involved and the way they discipline is different. Say that there's 3 kids. Say there's a brother, a sister, and a brother. 2 brothers and a sister, and one of them is the oldest. One of the boys is the oldest or the middle one. The boys are usually going to stand up and take the punishment so his brother and sister don't have to, right? This is exactly what Sebastian was doing. I'm figuring this out. He was going to testify to help Faith because he couldn't help himself yet. He had already been calling it, and the teachers had been calling for him. He just hadn't got the help he needed yet. Yet, Tennessee CPS would have stepped up to the plate sooner, then he would have probably made it to testify in that other trial for Faith, because we know it was coming up in a few days right after he went missing. It was like the next week, I think, it was the next week. So he was like a week away from testifying in that, and I think Chris would have lost Faith. He would know he would have. I think he's going to lose her now anyway because of, even the Law Lodge kind of came out and said it, because everybody's sending stuff into New Mexico now. I've sent a bunch of emails in. Like, I've sent a bunch of things, and I feel that that's laws and regulations that should be followed, right? Everybody can do their part, right? Just send it in. Send an email. If it gets read, great. If it doesn't, it will eventually. But, you have to reach out, right, when you see something wrong. Like, what we're trying to do is find Sebastian. So whatever we have to do to find him is what we do. If that means that we have to send an email to a judge in New Mexico saying, hey, do you realize this man lied to you? And he's not cleared in this case, and his stepson's still missing, and he's still a suspect, and probably the number 1 suspect, or the number 2 suspect. And you allowed that young one to go with him in the summer. Like, that's a no-no, right? That's how we see it. What if she would have vanished? Right? Say she would have been there and heard something she wasn't supposed to hear, then she would have vanished. That's why you cannot allow her to be there. Because we already know the type of person he is, the monster he is. Because he's done it to Sebastian numerous times. I don't know exactly how many. I know that there's 5 here and 2 here and 3 here or whatever they say. So, you're looking at probably 8, 10, 12. I don't know how many. Just like he said in that statement when he was asked that question. Well, how many are there really? Is there really 5? I don't know. It's because now he knows he's being looked at so much more, right? Because they still haven't found Sebastian. So now they're looking at this man a lot more, and he's nervous now that they're probably watching everything he says. And you notice how much more careful, but yet how much more he's slipping? He's slipping because he's trying to be careful. That's why he's slipping up. Like saying, I left home in early February, and that's the last time I saw Sebastian until February 26th. So that's the only one thing that he said that makes me think a little bit of this, that child could be put up somewhere. And Seth be right all along. It is possible because he did say he saw Sebastian on February 26th. That came out of CP's mouth. That's exactly what he said. Go listen. Exactly what he said. It's that Elevated Truth or whatever. It's that newer channel, I think, and she had Chris on, Katie on, and then 4 other people or something like that. And they were all talking. And then all I know is Deception Detective broke it down in like 4 or 5 segments. I've only watched like 20 minutes of it, listened to it, just to hear what he talked about. And that's where I got all these red flags, were just from that little bit that I listened to. So I can't imagine what's in the rest of it. Because he talked about the tables being empty, remember? The Thanksgiving, the Halloween was one of Sebastian's favorite holidays. Empty table, incomplete holiday. That's what Chris said of that day. That's how he said it, And then about Katie grieving and all that. And then Thanksgiving was another incomplete holiday, empty seat. And then he said, and then Sebastian's birthday, December 7th. People couldn't leave the day alone, right? I think more people spread awareness for Sebastian on his birthday than they probably have every other day, because it was his birthday. And a lot of people sang happy birthday like we did. A lot of people did birthday cakes. They did all those things. I put up balloons, banners, everything. I mean, they didn't do that. We did. So why are you saying we didn't leave it alone? You should be happy we didn't leave the day alone. We're spreading awareness for your stepson that's missing. Why should you down people for that? That's what made me upset about that comment. And then he jumps on to Christmas is coming up, and then we're going to have another incomplete holiday. How do you know this? Don Wells, how do you know this? That's what I'm going to start calling him, Don Wells Jr. How do you know this? How do you know Valentine's Day wasn't going to be home? Another incomplete holiday. I heard Katie or somebody in the background say Valentine's Day, I think, when he was doing that thing. And then he said, then you know what's after Valentine's Day. And that's when the lady says, well, maybe he'll be home by then. And he said, amen. Like, oh, is all this your plan, is to keep him gone a year, thinking your court was going to all get handled, and then you were going to just let him come home? He's going to randomly show up at a gas station or randomly show up somewhere. If this child randomly shows up somewhere on the February 25th, then I know they're going to dang sure be arrested, because they're going to know they were behind it. I mean, Sebastian's going to talk, and that's why I don't think that he is put up somewhere, but I pray to God he is. I'm just saying I don't think so. I don't think after this long, I don't think I would be looking up there if I thought. Now, it did give me a glimmer of hope that he might be, by the way he said that. But, then he talked about memories of the photos, like I talked about earlier. How do you're holding on to those last things, that's all you have, right? And then he says when Katie's ready to talk, she'll talk. Mothers with missing children are always ready to talk. You can't shut them up. That's how they should be. Mothers should be. You should not be able to be silent if your child with special needs is missing. And then for someone to say, well, yeah, I heard the neighbor say that she was putting clothes on the front porch and blankets and food and shoes. No medicines. Why you have to put it on the front porch? Because you weren't home. You ghosted a kid. I forgot. Sorry. Yeah, you ghosted him. But I don't know if that's true, because the ones I've talked to didn't say any of that. They didn't say they ever saw Katie outside screaming in the air. I didn't see any of that. They got surveillance now, right? So, hey, show us that clip. Post it out there, you screaming and leaving stuff on the front porch. We want to see that. So y'all have cameras now. So just go ahead and post it to actually put something out that might actually be truth, right? Go ahead, because I don't think it happened. You know, and then the YouTube channels. Once he started going on all those channels, y'all remember that, guys, how he was like acting like Sling Blade and all this, and voice changes, what some people said. But I do want to get to the one thing I wanted to talk about, which was the phone call that night, right? A lot of people think it was 3 hours. It wasn't 3 hours. 9:46, 9:43, 9:46 to right around midnight is a little over 2 hours, right? 2 hours and 14 minutes or 2 hours and 17 minutes, whatever it may be. That's really not even 2.5 hour phone call. So we need to look at it for what it is. It's a little over a 2 hour phone call, not a 3 hour phone call. And I think that was just to show that he had made it back. Because my thought is that he was in town that weekend. That's why he can't give specific dates. I think it's his lawyer telling him, don't do it. Don't do it, because once they find out you were there, it's really going to be bad. But I think we already know with the Wi-Fi pings and the things that have come out, you know, of his devices pinging their truck and all that. We know he was in that area. I mean, you know, it was his home. And if he wasn't kicked out, it was still his home. He could come home whenever he wanted if he wasn't mandated out of there, like he said. So he didn't need to be away. So if you weren't mandated, why did you stay up there so long when you're only 3 hours away? And you love your wife and you're going to fight for your wife and you stand up for your wife every day. But yet, you won't come home from the 1st of February until the 26th. Why? You mean you did not see her on Valentine's? I don't believe that. I'm just saying, you see what he's doing? And that's why he wouldn't give us the dates. It's because he was coming home probably every weekend, like the neighbors, one of the neighbors did say he was coming home. Sometimes he'd park in a construction site. Sometimes, evidently, according to one lady that works at that place that knows them really well, told me and one other person that was with me, which I can't say her name here, but that he would come in all the time. And sometimes he would leave his vehicle at his mother's and drive one of the other vehicles over there. So why was he hiding? If he wasn't mandated out of the home, why didn't he come home? Nobody's asking that. So I'm asking you that. If you weren't mandated to be home and you could be home at your home, $650,000 home, anytime you wanted, so you could be beating on Sebastian anytime you wanted, why weren't you? Explain that. Make it make sense. It don't. Because as much as he's defending her and battling for her and doing all this for her, if he cares about her as much as he's saying he does right now, and the whole time Sebastian's been gone, because as soon as Sebastian was gone, he was home and never left but once to go get a camper and come back, and they never went anywhere without each other after that. So you're telling me that for a whole month you're not going to come home, but you're not mandated. Your CPS didn't tell you to stay out of the home. I think he was put out, just like a lot of people think. And he just don't want to tell the truth on it, because he knows if he tells that truth, then that New Mexico case is going to go sour. But I think he's done, and we know Nina won that case. She won the case in his own town of Hendersonville. And he still had to take 24 hours of parent counseling courses, which he tried to fight, but he took them. And then another 12 hours of another class that he had to take. Tried to fight it too. He wants to fight everything, right? Use lawyers. That's why I know that he's had a lawyer this whole time, guys. Because he had the lawyer for that case. So we know that Sebastian went missing why he was battling that case. So we know that he basically already had a lawyer. He didn't need one, and Katie didn't need one either, because Katie's married to him and she has his lawyer. So they've had a lawyer from day one. Just remember that. And I know everybody's, well, did she lawyer up? Did she not? Right? No, they were lawyered up already before it happened. They were pre-planning. They were lawyered up before it happened. Because the reason I know Katie most likely was lawyered in the case too is because she was the one sending in those letters to the New Mexico case. Remember 30 days prior, and then JLR discovered that. Shout out to you, JLR, wonderful job. He discovered that. He went all the way down to New Mexico. He dug and got the papers and all that, which I would love to see, but I understand, I didn't get there and get them. And I don't know if I could get them now. I have sent some requests, but I haven't got any answers back. So I don't know. It might be now sealed because of Sebastian being gone for this long and nothing being figured out, and now them realizing that he is still a suspect and not cleared. So who knows what they're going to do? We don't know, right? We really don't know. But, man, that fire's nice, ain't it? Woo, it's big tonight. We've kept it nice and warm for y'all guys, and for me. My booty's warm too. This hot pad is getting a little too hot. But, you know, the thing is that I wanted to really touch base on was I'm going to see if I can, yeah, there we go. I had to move it a little bit. And, because it does get a little warm. The thing that gets me is the Tinkerbell video that we thought all along, since they had said the 26th, we thought all along that video was the key. Now we can't look at it that way. 50-50, I'm back too on that video. Because, and I'm the one that said Tinkerbell is the answers. I know, I admit it. But you know what? I was going on based on them saying he was seen on the 26th. So I thought if they saw him, that would have been the only way they would have saw him, would have been on that camera. And now we do know that he wasn't seen on any camera. So what does that tell us? Somehow, some way, if you really think about it, they couldn't make out who took out the trash, which we know the dogs didn't go to the trash can. So we know that that's most likely not Sebastian who took out the trash. We got to also remember, guys, Katie was wearing all black the same night. Same kind of color shoes, same everything, all black. And the crazy thing to me is, that I'm wondering is, the newer shoes that he had been wearing, the newer tennis shoes that he had been wearing, would have had the freshest scent in them, right? Which I've always said the shoes are going to play an important role. I think she had given him his medicine before the roadhouse, or when they first got there, probably in the parking lot or something where it wasn't seen, and that he was starting to get tired before they left, and she knew she got to get out of there, and they left. And that's why I think she met Chris somewhere, or someone. She met someone, I believe, on the way home, probably almost to the house, because it's pitch dark out there, remember? And I think she kept the shoes so she would be able to try to take out the trash in his shoes and things, thinking it would work, and it didn't work. I think it backfired. And then she was stuck with all the shoes. And by then, she couldn't put them in the trash because she thought they would search the trash, right? And she knew they'd have found the shoes. So she couldn't put them in the trash. And the only thing I thought was maybe she had thrown some of his stuff or his clothing in that construction site dumpster. And that may be a place that she could have went, but since there was no scent trail, I don't think so. But the craziest part of it all is the one thing that really makes me realize that something bad happened that night, and that she was outside at some point at midnight or after midnight when it was, completely dark, is because of how she said in that one interview when she slipped up. And she caught herself, but it's too late because she said the whole thing this time. She said it was super dark that night. And then she said, well, it's dark every night. Like, she realized, if you go back and watch her face, her eyes and everything like freeze. Because she realized, oh my God, I just said that. And that's pretty much when he shut her up and didn't let her talk no more. That was it. So it's because she was slipping a little bit in each one, but now look at him. It's been so much time past that he feels so confident, and now he's slipping. So it's good. Let him keep talking, because the more he talks, the more he slips. And his little fake search that he did that one day, that search, buddy, cost you 15 grand. I would have done it for free. That's what's crazy. I mean, not with him. I would have not searched. Don't take that wrong. I would have not searched with him, but I'll search for free. You wouldn't have to pay. There's a lot of people searching for free. So, there's a lot of them searching for free. And I just feel that, this poor child did not deserve that life. And I always look at it now as the one that failed him, the only one that failed him, was Katie Lynn Prophet. And that's tough to say because she's the mother. And you would think that would be the last one you would suspect. But she's the first one they suspected. Because he wasn't seen anymore after they left the roadhouse. That's why I don't think he made it home. And you remember in the beginning, a lot of people were following that trail, seeing where you could have pulled over. There's so many places. You remember that little spot right when you get past the school on the left where you kind of pull in? And I think Silver's on the Scene went there once. Shout out to you, buddy. I sent you an email the other day. You know, she could have pulled in right there, swapped him out of the cars into Chris's car. Chris drove off. He could have went all those back roads and not been seen on any camera. He knows how to go. He's not dumb. And even if, say, they would have seen his vehicle, he said, well, I just left home, we're going home, and that's why he can't give us dates. That may have been why he can't give us dates, because maybe he was caught on camera, and he's like, no, I left at, 6:37, but he didn't go miss till midnight. And that may have been his story, right, if they did see him on camera or on a license plate reader or something. Then that's why he's steering away from dates. Because I don't think law enforcement even knows the dates. I think his lawyer has him pretty hushed. But could be wrong. Because we know Nancy Grace ate him up. And pretty much she did eat him up. She scared him. He wouldn't go back to her, never. And he wants a big platform, but he would never go back to her. And I would like Dr. Phil to put him on and mop the floor with him, but I know Chris won't go there either. He won't even go on the lower lodge. So, I mean, come on. I think he should go battle out, right? And then that way we hear both sides. I think they should have both put them up there together, or just put up each one of them spokesperson and let them battle it out. Something. Let's see because we know they don't get along. So we know they kind of excluded Seth. They didn't talk to him for 2 weeks after all this happened, after the GoFundMe started, which the only reason they didn't want the GoFundMe is because they didn't want to get out there and search, and then they would have felt obligated to because people were giving money. And that's why I think they didn't want the GoFundMe. I don't think it was for any other reason other than that. But they haven't proven us any other way that it would be any other reason than that. So there's just so much, guys, that we need to break down. I just wish it wasn't so cold, but there's so much here. And I'm going to finish up these other ones tonight and then tomorrow at work, and then we'll really be able to deep dive because I want to go over all the red flags I have, which will take a while because there's over 100 of them. But I still want to go over them because a lot of them hold some meaning, I think. And now that we have to look at this Tinkerbell video as more of a decoy, in my opinion, it's more of a decoy to throw them off, to make them think, yep, that's the car that got him, right? That's the abduction. That's what happened. That's when he left with somebody. And that's what, I think they knew this would happen, and that's why they did it. I don't think that child ever made it back to that home. And if he did, I don't think he was there long, but he would have been seen on camera leaving. And you got to remember, if he would have came in, and he would have taken out the trash, like she said, they would have had his scent. And for one, this young man would not leave without a backpack. Number one, he wouldn't have left without a cell phone, without his medicines, with that little flashlight that didn't work or whatever. If it did or didn't work, he wouldn't have left with that. He wouldn't have left with no shoes. He wouldn't have left without food or snacks. We know he was always hungry. Like, he wouldn't have just walked out of that door like that. And it bothers me that that's her thought. In her mind, she's telling herself, he walked out that door and I don't know why. Yes, you know why. But you just won't say it. And eventually she's going to crack. We know it. And, I mean, when those metal cuffs hit, she's going to crack. And if she did not play the main role in it, and it is the other one like I think it is, the stepdad, then she's going to throw everything out on him. And we always thought he would throw it on her, but I think it's going to be the other way around. I think she'll throw him under the bus. Because she's the one been quiet. Think about that. She's been super quiet. So she could really literally say, hey, he just kept telling me he was going to beat me if I didn't do it, so I did it. We don't know. She could say anything she wants. But I do feel like something's fixing to fall down through the pike. As soon as they change that date, and then we still don't have an update on the remains, that's bugging me. That's really bugging me, guys. 10 days and nothing yet? We should have known by now. And in these 10 days, we get a date change in one of the most biggest cases in the entire world right now. And we get a date change by the FBI? Wow. That is crazy. Because, you wonder, was there cameras in those areas that could have picked up footage? Or trail cams that might have picked up something or something? And that's why they're so quiet about this. I don't know, but I know that they're being very quiet about it. And then it's kind of like that Dumas Jr., the missing realtor. I found out today that one of the people that's supposedly behind his kidnapping, the Chambers girl, is missing too, and she has autism, and her grandma's begging for her right now. She hasn't been seen since the middle of January, so they might have done to her what they did to him, right? I don't know. We're going to cover that later. I'm waiting on another email, and then we're going to cover the update on that one, because they waited 54 days. That's sad to get anything going. That's a long way to wait for a father of 3 that just vanished like that. Well, was kidnapped like that on camera. That's heartbreaking too. But, you know, Sebastian deserves everything that everyone is doing and more right now, just like all of them do. Summer Wells, to me, I'm really growing on that case right now, because the search coming up, I'm really digging. I'm really pulling up some stuff. I'm gonna do a new one tomorrow night on Summer, and I've really been working on this, guys, and I feel that the answers might be right there. And, you know, not going to say that's going to lead us to where she is, but I think some of the answers might be in that second interview that they did. I don't know. And then one YouTube thing that they did. But we'll talk about it tomorrow night. Anyway, Sebastian Rogers, he's touched everybody's hearts, right? He has. And it's that big smile, right? It's that smile. I don't think it's goofy like Mom says. I think it's cute. And I think it shows his character and how he was just a happy-go-lucky kid. And as a parent, that's what you want your children to be, smiling all the time and be happy. That's what we want for our kids. And to know that on top of that smile, under that smile was this house of horror going on. I hate to say it that way, but it's like a house of horror. This poor child was enduring having to wear diapers all the time, having to probably watch what he ate, watch what he said. He couldn't touch nothing of Chris's. Like, there's no telling. Taking his phone probably all the time. There's no telling what they did to him. But the one thing I think is fixing to come out is I really think now these CPS reports that we know now were taken from Seth without his consent by that woman. I don't remember her name. I think Michaela or something. And this is what he said, that she was shacked up over there with him, and that she got into his phone and emailed the CPS documents to herself. That's a crime. I say, Locker, that's a crime. You cannot do that. That CPS is sacred. You cannot do that. And then supposedly she has them. But they're for the Proudfoot home, and they were addressed to Katie. So if they're addressed to Katie, that means Katie's involved in it too. That means she's involved in those CPS reports as well. And I guess it would make sense, because he is special needs. So if something's happening by a step parent, the mom's just as guilty. You see what I'm saying? So technically, they could use CPS alone right now to arrest them both. So get on it, right? Get on it, dang it. And then maybe they'll talk. If you put them in a box, they might talk, right? You know, the one thing to me that would really do it would be to go ahead and go over there and get Kathy Bowersox and interrogate the hell out of her. I think she would break. She acts tough, but I think she would break. Now, Terry, no, he wouldn't break. But Kathy, I think, would break. For her freedom, I think she would break. So to me, that'd be a good thing they could do. And I'm sure they've interviewed him again and again and again. I'm sure they're fixing it. From what I'm hearing, they're fixing to interview him again. So I don't know if that's true. I'm just telling you what I'm hearing through people that are there that are saying that they're going to call them back in and talk to him again, which I think they should. And I hope it's FBI. And I hope it's somebody new, a new set of eyes that can really put some heat on them. And they know they can't use anybody in Summer County, because evidently they think there's some favoritism, which I don't think there is, but there might be. I haven't seen it, because he's been straightforward about everything. We just didn't listen to a lot of it, but he was straightforward about the video as well. It may play a role later. It's going to play a role because it's a decoy. And I think they figured out that it was a decoy. I think they figured out the landfill search, the trash can being heavy, was a decoy. I think the shoes, they realized, is the biggest piece of the puzzle. I think all of it's coming together. And I think that they finally got some piece of information back, a video, something they got back that proved them that that's what it was. And that's why now they're saying he wasn't seen on the 25th. What I'm waiting for now is a headline to say Katie Proudfoot was seen on the 26th at 2:58 a.m. outside her house with a flashlight. That's what I'm waiting to see on the headlines, because that's what I think it was. Unless that's what she carried him out there, and it's possible. But I think if they'd have seen it in clear, they would have known that he wasn't carried out there then, that he was probably gone before that, because his scent, I don't know, it's confusing as hell. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to come on for a little bit. I didn't realize it was going to take 55 minutes. I am freezing. My feet are cold. My butt's hot, but my feet are cold. So anyway, we'll talk a little more tomorrow night when it's not so cold. Y'all have a good night. At least I froze my butt off for y'all for almost an hour with fire chat. Fire's going down. So let's call it a night, baby. And anyway, we'll see y'all later on, guys. I got some Kohlberger information I want to talk about and some Stefan Stern information. I'll do that tomorrow. And then I got a Jay Slater video that I'm fixing to release. I've been waiting because I'm waiting on Peter to give me the okay to release it, because I'd sent some information into him. So I will release that one soon too, probably the next day or so. Anyway, guys, y'all be good. Y'all be safe. Remember, allegedly, these are my opinions. I'm just a big alleged bubble. I'm only talking about what they put out of their own words, and that's not even a tenth of it. So we'll go over more tomorrow when it's not so cold. But y'all guys have a wonderful night. We love y'all guys. We appreciate y'all every day. Thank y'all so much for all y'all's wonderful, kind-hearted comments always, and we respect everybody's opinion here. And when I'm working, it's so hard to do videos during the day. I miss it because I want to be doing them and I just can't. But I will make sure I do them at night, as long as it's not raining. If it's not raining, y'all know I'm doing them. And some nights I'll do 3 or 4, and I might come back out later and do another one. But right now I'm cold and I need to warm up. And I haven't even showered yet. So y'all guys have a good night. We love y'all guys. Trigger warnings always. Justice for Sebastian Rogers. Justice for all the missing guys. They need our prayers. They all need the same attention. So we need to start working on spreading awareness for all of them. Summer, Maddie, all this stuff. Maddie's trial hasn't even started, right? We need to start getting into that. And we need to put a little more time and energy into the Idaho 4 and all these things, the Karen Reed, these things that are coming up. We need to see what's out there and break it down and go over it and see what we think. And let's get everybody's opinions on these cases and see what they think is going to happen in trials and things like that. So y'all guys have a good night, guys. We love y'all. Y'all be safe and keep up the prayers always. Justice for Sebastian Rogers. Justice for all the missing, all the voiceless, all the runaways. They run for a reason, right? Remember that. They run for a reason. Talk later, guys. Y'all be good. Be safe. All right. Bye.